same boat. So let's get into the music. I want to begin with, 6 years ago, this pandemic changed so much about our worlds. Live music, the way we approach things.
Yeah.
How did you get through that era, and how has it influenced the way that you do things now?
It was funny. I was just before this and before I started because people were posting stuff. They were posting stuff online. They were posting, singing stuff. They were doing their own cabarets even. So I was doing that without anything, even just in my own home, just doing stuff, but it wasn't this like you've heard already. So, I was playing around with that and, I had friends and I had this wonderful lady of telling me that I should be looking into material that would serve me better than some of the stuff that I was doing then, because we all didn't know then. We were all figuring it out what to do. And as things were going on, I did my own cabaret like online, just with like karaoke tracks. It wasn't even like this at all. And so because we didn't have the resources then, who knew? And ever since then, I did another, and then I did an equity contract, all that, and people were telling me you need to do something like this, where you do a cabaret, where you're up in front of people, because this is, I think, your calling. And I sat with that and I looked into it and I said, yeah, I think this is.
So talk to me a little bit about your union, your relationship. Talk to me a little bit about how this all came together for this album.
She had the idea, Jackie had the idea of doing an album that's eclectic, but still has jazz influences on it. And for it to be, something that would get my face forward, but not just that, something that I think doing music that's sophisticated, doing music that speaks to me in many different ways.
So what are you hoping the listener gets from this album?
I hope the listener that gets from this album, what I really am hoping with this is that the listener is feeling something, that the listener is listening to musicality, that they really are feeling what I'm singing to them. Because my plans are, with this album of that I've been through it too, and when they listen to it, that's why songs are made, love songs, heartbreak, all that, you name it. Why they're made, because it's about the human condition. And I think that when we have albums or we have movies or whatever it is, and it talks about the human condition, people relate to it.
So talk to me about your beginnings, your collective beginnings here. How did you get into the music? How did we get here?
I've been doing music since I was 11 years old. Music's been my life for a long, long time. It's been in me since all I can remember, but I came to Jackie when I was about 19 or 20. Mm-hmm. I was a kid. And, she said to me that this is the kind of thing that I knew that already, but she steered me in another direction that needed to be, on that kind of a path.
I think I saw your Martin musical theater for Martin,
Yeah.
assuming a character,
Right.
on a big stage, interacting with people, and he dances and he
Yeah.
acts, and that to him, not that it's like falling off a log, but because he works very hard at it, but it was something that he just done a whole lot
Yeah,
of.
did a lot of, yeah.
And I heard in his voice, I said, you got this big, beautiful baritone and you're singing all these theater songs. He does some of these theater songs, make your hair stand up. It's so great. But I said, I would like to see you do something smaller and intimate and a pin spot on you, which you don't get to see in the theater a whole lot these days.
No.
There are very few pin spots where the performer stands there and the orchestra follows them and everybody's leaning forward to see what their next song, what their next word is going to be, what their next breath is going to be. And so cabaret, I think, enables a performer to do that. And so that's what I want. I just thought, you've got this in you, and why not do both? Why not explore this part? And a lot of these songs, I mean, he's like a walking encyclopedia of musical
Yeah.
theater. I said most of these standards come from musical theater. Now let's look at them in a way where it's, yeah, we're taking some of the traditional elements of that, some of the little intros, like when he does "Oh Look at Me Now" at this. Why was I going to mess with that Bobby Hackett solo? We just basically transcribed it and arrange it because it's like the intro to New York, New York. Are you gonna? And anybody who sings New York, New York is gonna have that intro. And nobody's gonna make a different arrangement out of that. That's just part of the song almost,
Yeah.
even though it was really part of the arrangement. So we just started playing around with that and
Yeah.
looking at the musical theater stuff and saying, how can we translate this into an intimate setting, and what songs are you into? And we tossed some out and
Yeah,
went,
we did. We did.
yuck.
Yeah.
And then and then we really, I don't know, we landed on these.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Jackie, give me a little bit of your background.
Yeah.
My background is pretty eclectic. I was a singer for many, many years. I did a lot of background work, commercials, session work, oohs and ahs. I did some Broadway. I was in City of Angels as
Yeah.
one of the jazz quartet, because I was always a singer who was a good musician. I could read music well and all of that stuff. So I just sang and sang and sang
Yeah.
and sang. And then I got into teaching voice. I became a voice therapist, went back to school in my 30s and was still singing for many, many years while I was in school and while I started working with singers who had vocal damage. And Martin didn't come to me with vocal damage. He came to me, I teach a lot of normal singers, as if anybody who's a singer is quite normal. I don't know if you want to be a singer, you describe yourself as normal, but I'm kidding. But
Right.
and that's so I've done a lot of different things, movie background work, all kinds of stuff, arranging lots and lots of vocals, music school, doing arrangements for various instrumental combos and stuff. But then I got more into the singing and I put that aside, and then I started getting back into it. And so Martin said, "Hey, do some arrangements for me," and he liked them.
Right on. Do you remember the first live jazz show you saw, or one of the first experiences of something on stage that influenced and swayed the way that you approach the stage?
Yeah. I mean, I saw everybody on stage. So I don't know if there's ultimately one thing that makes me go, wow, because I saw so many singers. I mean, I saw Tony Bennett. I saw Barbara Streisand. Um, I mean, I even saw Jack Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah, I even saw
great
Jack Jones.
singer.
Great singer. I saw Barbara Cook even.
Ah,
Saw Barbara Cook.
yeah,
I saw a lot of them. And I think that a lot of them influenced me not to copy them. I even saw Tom Jones. It was
amazing.
amazing. I even saw Aretha Franklin. Like, I saw all of them. Like, so I think that observing how they handled the stage, how they connected with an audience, musically what they were doing, was something that was seeping into my osmosis at a very young age, because I was always going to these concerts, and that type of genre of vocalists.
The one thing about COVID was that there was a lot of concern that possibly in big cities musicians were going to leave, and people don't get into the world of jazz because there's a lot of money to be made. It's
Yeah.
not a lucrative world. So right now in this modern era, how strong do you see the scene? Releasing this album and being in this world, what's your beat?
Slowly but surely it's coming back. But at the same time, it is a dying art form, because there's a lot of mainstream things out there. There's on social media, and there are people who don't understand what this music is. They don't understand nuance, phrasing, the hard work it really takes. Because, I mean, there's a lot of genres that you can just that it doesn't take as much work. You just do it, and it's right there. But this specific one, because of the lyrics that are involved, the scales, the harmonies, all that,
The time
the
feel.
time feel, it requires something very different and very much, it requires a lot of patience and a lot of focus.
And what is jazz these days? I mean, it's such a melting pot now.
Yeah.
Every kind. I mean, I hear singers, oh, this is a new jazz singer. Doesn't, I don't know, oh, well, who, they're not Billie Holiday. Well, then you don't improvise. You're not scatzing. Well, Billie Holiday never,
Yeah,
she didn't scat.
she wasn't a
Is
singer.
that, does that not make her a jazz singer? I mean, I don't even know now what that means really. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are writing original stuff. Are they really jazz tunes? But the younger people are writing all kinds of different influences that they grew up with that might not have been, what I grew up with listening to for sure. And it's just going in all different directions. So I'm not even quite sure what that means. I mean, I think maybe instrumentally the lines are a little clearer than they are vocally. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, and there's all these different elements of electronica that are getting
Yeah,
thrown in. There's different things, and that's the problem with labeling art, is
yeah,
that you get in you inherently get into that category of like what are we doing here? Because it
yeah,
all bleeds into itself. It's a big Venn diagram of circles that all kind of find their way together.
yeah. Does it speak to you? Is it, for me, is it musically sound?
Yeah.
Does it make sense musically? Am I listening to two chords and some electronic stuff that just doesn't interest me that much? Is it, do the lyrics speak to me? It's like Duke Ellington, what kind of music do you like? And he said, good music.
Good music.
And
Yep.
so, but what is good for you? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's so personal.
The one thing about a lot of the singers and just the genre of jazz, a lot of it really kind of was emblematic of the end of wars or getting out of things in America. And right now, I'm not going to mince words, this country is not a place that's okay. And there's a lot of things that are happening that are not okay.
Yeah.
And I wonder, as a performer and as being in this realm of entertainment and music, how much you're thinking about taking the audience away. Not only the audience, but yourself and those that are on stage. How much of this America that you're performing to are you thinking about giving them some level, some antidote to what we get fed by the news cycle all the time?
Well, we're constantly surrounded by news now than we ever have been.
Yeah.
Through our phones, through everything. And I try to sing things without telling what the message is. There are certain songs that, like, You Must Believe in Spring, that I do, that are just, or let's, even on my show, Let's Face the Music and Dance,
Yeah.
we talked about
Yeah,
that.
we were talking about how it was written in 1935
Yeah.
by Berlin. And
Yeah.
when you read those words, holy mackerel, it's not let's say some music.
Yeah.
It's really, and it's all minor.
It's all minor.
It's really quite ominous. I mean, you can't believe that lyric once you start reading that lyric. You
Yeah.
think, oh gosh, but it was done, and
Yeah.
so I mean, you're not lecturing about
No,
it,
no.
but and there is some joy in it too, because it's like this is happening, but hey, while we have music and while we have love and while we have joy and romance, and let's
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. And it's interesting because I think with what I'm bringing is for people to get out of that news for a while.
Yeah.
Because everybody is seeing it every day,
Ugh.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And you
That
can't
is
get
gonna-
away from it.
Yeah, you can. Well, the one thing that's made sure that jazz has stayed around and has been, even though it can get confusing and it's not as prevalent as other forms, there's always this strong community.
Yeah,
And the backbone of that community is this love for this art form. So I'm going to ask you
sure.
both, why do you love this art form that we call jazz?
Well, I love it because it's something that makes it brings life. It's a feeling. Jazz is a feeling. There's an internal feeling and stuff that you can make your own. And that's why I love it. Because unlike other genres, it doesn't have this square cookie cutter way of doing it.
Yeah.
There's many ways to do it. And
Mhm.
I think that it starts with a feeling, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think, Jackie?
I think I was saying this to my husband the other night. I said, once I was sitting around a table with a bunch of my friends, singers and musicians, and we were talking about some artist, and I don't remember who it was. And someone said, "Yeah, but does he do this?" And we all started to laugh because we knew what that meant. Internally, that feeling of swing, where you just have that time going. And I don't know, there's something about that that always got to me. And Martin laughs at me because I'm the worst dancer in the world, but it's inside. It just doesn't make its way down to my feet like it does to him, for him. But there's that swing, that pulse of that time, and something about that always got me. I guess because I grew up listening to my dad's Sinatra, and Nancy Wilson and all the big band stuff. And I mean, I just heard that time feel from when I was a little kid, and it gets me all the time. I love it.
I remember interviewing Randy Weston, and he always would go to Africa. And
Mhm.
he told me probably one of the most revelatory things I'd ever heard about jazz. And he was like, everything in Africa swings, the elephant tail, the palms of the tree. Everything swings, and that's the whole thing. It's
Mhm.
like that snap. It's like there's this level of it that's like it's like a heartbeat in your
Yeah,
chest. It's something that just has this pang that just means it's jazz.
it's the rhythm of life.
Yeah,
It really
absolutely.
is. And some people sing with it or play with it, and you can really, it's just this visceral thing that happens and some people don't.
Hmm.
Um, and that's okay. I always say I'm a voice teacher. I work on people's voices. I get them healthy, I get their technical thing going,
Hmm.
but then I go and hear somebody sing, and I'm not talking about my students and people who can hardly sing, but it gets me
Yeah.
because there's time or there's a certain communication ability. I don't care if they hit a high note. And look at what I do in my everyday life.
Yeah.
It's
So let me ask you this. If you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see one singer,
you know,
probably jazz, more or less, and see them in one situation, one concert, where are you going?
I want to see Sammy Davis.
mm,
I want to see Sammy.
Yeah.
That must have been outstanding. He is one of my idols. Just, you talk about the world's greatest entertainer. My God, he was my absolute favorite. It would be Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I would say Helen Merrill and Clifford Brown playing in some little club in New York
Yeah,
City.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
For sure. So, when you get into this world of entertainment, you have this dream of what this career is going to be like, this dream
Mhm.
of what you're going to do, how you're going to wake up every day and just feel this art. But then the career happens and you do it and you're in it. What's been the difference between the dream and the living it?
Well, the dream is achieving it, and is the goal. That's the dream. Is how do you get to that goal? The living is is actually doing it. Is actually doing it to get to that goal. So it's two opposite things, but you have to live it before you dream it.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, because anybody can dream it, but in order to achieve it, you have to do it.
Yeah.
So what do you like the best about being a professional musician and being in this world of music? What gets you up every day? What pushes you to evolve and to love doing what you do every day?
Oh, well, I mean, what pushes me is the surroundings, and surrounded by such art and stuff at my fingertips, and creating because it inspires me. What can I do today better than I did yesterday?
Mhm.
And that you become a better person in that way too. Like, what can I do today musically better or anything better than I did yesterday?
That's the thing about being in New York too.
Yep.
It's like no matter what you do, if I was singing a commercial, I was working with some of the best session players, some of the best players in New York City, or a live gig, somebody's gig at the Waldorf, or like a gala at the wall. I mean, surrounded by musicians that were so great, like you could play anything, any key, any tune from any era, just calling it off the cuff and making music, and it ups your game. So you're singing and you're always surrounded by people who are better than you are.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do. You want to play with a better tennis player.
Yeah. Does that create some level of imposter syndrome? How do you deal with that being in that level of soup?
No, because it doesn't, because everybody has something different they can offer.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And the reason why I asked that is they released a movie on Amazon Prime at the beginning of
Mhm.
the summer about Kansas City, and it's about our entire music scene from the early days of Charlie Parker and Jay McShann all the way up through the modern people, and it was all music from jazz to rock and all of that. And I came away living in this town my whole life, thinking there's really a level of imposter syndrome in Kansas City because there's no reason why all these people shouldn't have been absolutely massive like Charlie
Bobby
Parker.
Watson's from
I
Kansas.
know. And that's the thing that always gets me. Bobby Watson was sitting
Ah,
behind me at the Marilyn May show, and I'm always like, do people understand?
I went to music school with him, and
Yeah,
let me tell you, his wife,
yeah,
Pam,
yeah.
I haven't seen her since 1978. She's a heavyweight. She's a
That's
beautiful singer and pianist.
yeah, that's what people say all the time whenever Bobby gets brought up. But Bobby just hops into gigs here in
I know.
town, and I'm just like, do people understand this is a living legend
Yeah,
that
no,
has
they don't.
picked Kansas City, and he's just walking around playing at gigs, and he's around. I'm always kind of bespeckled by the idea that he's picked Kansas City because he could be anywhere on the planet, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's amazing.
Yeah,
You know,
he's great.
he's wonderful. So the one thing I was thinking too, being an old school, specializing in that level of old school crooner
Mhm.
entertainment, like I said with Marilyn, it seems like in this modern world it's a dying art. You just don't hear a lot of singers that have the pianist playing in between songs, and there's this parlance, and there's just this entertainment factor. Because there's a lot of musicians that just go up and play the music and they're out. They may talk a little bit, but that level of entertainment. And obviously you're a part of this tide. Do you think it's going to get stronger? Do you think it's going to hold on like a string like it is now? What do you think is going to happen to this level of entertainment that you provide the audience?
Well, I think that people love the old school stuff as well. There's always an audience for it. And there's always a younger generation that loves it. Because, I mean, thank God we have all the social media stuff and the clips that they can watch it and they can just love it and research more about it. So that's the other beauty of it, I think. I mean, the best part about now is that you can do your own platform whenever. Nobody's waiting around as much, and that's great.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm going to ask both of you this. At the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends,
Oh God,
clients, fans, crowd, everything. We're entering a therapy session, but you run the show. What is
yeah,
your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm this, kind, cool, loving, effervescent person.
How about you?
Mm. uh, Feisty Italian chick.
Yeah,
There we
yeah.
go. I know about that world for sure.
Are you
My
Italian?
yeah, I'm half. My
Yeah.
dad was full-blooded.
Come on.
He was born in Brooklyn and raised in Long Island. They're actually my other half. They're up in Massapequa. So,
Oh, so I have half my family there
Yeah,
too.
same, same. I have
okay,
family up above me.
yeah.
Yeah,
So they had a I was just talking about this earlier on today. They had a
yeah.
pastry shop up there, and my
Ah,
dad passed in '08. But when we went up there a few times, and I remember the last time we went up there, he would get a box of pastry to bring home to everybody. And on the drive to LaGuardia, he would just sit and look at that box and he would eat the whole damn thing. And it
Oh my
looked like
God.
he wrestled a ghost. And he'd have agita the whole way home.
Agita.
Why would you do that to
Oh,
yourself?
the pinoli cookies,
Oh,
The
those
pinoli cookies
pinoli
are
are super
the
sweet.
best.
Yeah, and the sesame ones.
oh. And
Oh,
and when I would come up and hang out in the back of there, I would look there and I'd be like, if you guys brought this to Kansas City, you would just be making gold bars at the end of the day. And they're just acting like it's no big deal. They're just, they're just
yeah,
cooking up a pot of pasta or whatever they're doing.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, it was wild for sure.
yeah.
So the most important thing right now is how can people pick up the new album, catch you live, any of the good collective work in your
Sure.
combined worlds, where do they go?
You can find it on iTunes, on Spotify. You can find it on Amazon, Bandcamp. There's
That's the key. Bandcamp. Is that
Bandcamp. Yeah, and on there's a vinyl too. I have a vinyl. I'm going to be doing my show next Saturday at the Laurie Beachman Theater here in New York
The 30.
on the 31st, which is the album release show.
okay?
So you can go to my socials, Martino the Showman, they call me. You can message me on Instagram, whatever. You pick up a song, whatever you want to do. I'm around.
You're everywhere. You're all over. I love it. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to having it on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been absolutely great.
Neon Jazz.